Today on the show, we're going to talk about 10 things from the Wolverine movie that I want to talk about.
And I expect you have something to say about it, huh?
Yeah, well, maybe that's my job.
Your ability to heal can be passed to another. Allow someone else to shoulder your burden. Logan, son, I can make you mortal. Trust me, Bob. You don't want what I've got.
Number 1. The Wolverine was not as bad as I was anticipating. I had said earlier in some of my reviews that I thought this one was going to be a total waste of time, and it was not a total waste of time. It was okay. It didn't offend me, which was what I was like, that's what I was afraid of. I thought this movie was going to offend me, and it didn't, and I was glad. Number 2, I liked the smaller scale of the story. This summer has been fraught with movies where the world is in peril, and at this point, I just want the world to fucking explode. Just say fuck it and just let us die, I don't even care anymore. And I liked that this was a story that was just all set in Japan mostly, and it was very small, and the world wasn't at stake. It was just some girl and his dad, and it was weird. And I appreciated that. That's when the X-Men are at their best, when you're doing more soft stories and personal stories and what they're doing on their weekends. Number 3, just because it was okay and better than Origins does not mean that it's a good movie. I've seen a lot of people online going, well, it's better than X-Men Origins, and that is not a compliment, okay? That bar is set so low, down there, that is not a compliment. So, just saying. Number 4. I'm tired of this old X-Men movie continuity from Fox. I really am. It's old. It's from 2000. It was very progressive at the time. And it really set the standard for comic book movies back then. But we've really outgrown it by now. And the X-Men are a thing that are supposed to be up for different interpretations. And I would like to see some new interpretations. And as long as we have Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, we're not going to be seeing anything new because we're tied to this cumbersome, goofy-ass continuity that's not that good anymore. Number 4. I want to see a Wolverine that's accurate to the comics. I mean, think about it this way. When Wolverine first came out, his first appearance was in The Hulk, and he was given the Hulk troubles, okay? He gives the Hulk a good fight. And if you look at the Avengers, the Hulk is fucking crazy. So if this guy can give fucking Hulk, serious problems, then I think that he could fucking destroy, tons of ninjas. So, I don't know. I just want to see a more badass Wolverine. Shorter, hairier, angrier, manlier, scarier, more murderous, uglier.
Yeah, this Wolverine couldn't even take out, 12 ninjas.
I know, and that was so stupid. It was just I came here to see him kill some fucking ninjas, and these ninjas are owning him. Come on. And he just swipe his claws and get off that ninja strings from the arrows. I mean, come on, man. Do this. I was really hoping to see this scene where he's just in a pile of ninjas and they're just scrapping it out and he's just slicing and dicing. Didn't see that. No Berserker Wolverine, just Hollywood romance Wolverine.
We will accept your surrender with respect. Is that all the men you brought?
That being said, number 5, Hugh Jackman does a good job. He really, you can tell that he cares about the part. I mean, he got fucking super ripped for it. And, that dude's in his 40s. So, I mean, he's taking some serious, HGH and shit. He's gotta be doing something. Have you seen the veins in his arms? They're crazy. Holy shit. So I really appreciate his dedication to the character, especially when you look back at the first X-Men movie and he's a little soft baby. It's man.
You look great.
You look great.
Yeah, I want to look like that one day.
One day, Robot, you gotta get some hair on your chest first.
I'm gonna start lifting weights soon. I'm gonna get ripped.
You're gonna get ripped.
Veins popping out of my neck.
Well, wires maybe popping out of your neck? Does that work?
I'm trying to find some HGH on the internet. If anybody has any links, please help.
Don't help him. Don't encourage this. I want to commend Hugh Jackman because he really is the glue that's holding together this entire thing, okay? All the movies have been through the lens of his character, And he's always taken it very seriously, and I feel like he's always really tried his best to do a good job with it. And I think that he's done a good job with what he's been given. So props to you, Hugh Jackman, even though I think you should be replaced. I look at Wolverine like I would look at James Bond, where it's like there's different James Bonds, you know, and it's like, you know, I like the Sean Connery one and I like the Roger Moore one. They're both different and they have different interpretations, and I just would like to see the next interpretation of Wolverine.
Next.
I feel weird about this because I'm kind of complimenting him while also insulting him, you know, where it's like he is the glue that holds the franchise together because he's so good as Wolverine, but at the same time it's time to get a new, like, Vision going because the Vision is, like, so messed up. So I know there's a little bit of a dichotomy going on here, but,
Contradicting yourself.
you know, humans are contradictory by nature. It's okay. It's fine. Just have to be aware of it. That's all. Just have to know when you're being contradictory, and then it's okay.
What are you?
A chemist, a capitalist, a viper.
Number 6. The hell was the deal with that viper snake lady? I mean, seriously, come on. First of all, she felt like she was like from another movie. We had no idea what her motivations were. It's like, why is she working for this guy? Just for the money, or because she wants to advance her science or something? I don't know. I don't know why she's doing any of this. And then in the end, they give her like super villainous costumes, and like they are like really over the top and don't really fit with the vibe of the rest of the film at all. In fact, like I really like what she was wearing to the funeral. Like that made sense, but this other shit was like, what the fuck is that? One of her pants outfits did not fit right in the crotch. It looked terrible. And then the whole like she gets hit by the arrow and then she sheds her skin and isn't dead and just pulls it out, but then she could be hung later. It's just like, what is her power exactly? And I looked it up on the internet, and she's not supposed to have any of those powers. Like,
Is she? What comic book is she from?
well, it's like she's known as like Viper or as like Lady Hydra, which is like the head of Hydra, which is like a evil science, you know, people, which is cool, but it's just like, she didn't fit. Like, she was kind of unnecessary and didn't need to be there. Although she had really great eyebrows. I will say that. Her eyebrows were popping. I'm really jealous. I wish my eyebrows looked that good, but they don't.
They should have had Serpentor in the movie.
Who the fuck is Serpentor?
From G.I. Joe, the movie. The cartoon movie.
Oh. Okay. It probably would have been better than Viper Lady.
Yeah, Serpentor.
I think that Serpentor probably would have worked just as well as Viper did, even though he's from a completely different universe, because she feels like she's from a completely different universe, so wouldn't have been worse than what they did.
Was he right?
Number 7. Wolverine's powers getting messed with and all this stuff, like, and they didn't completely take his powers away, which, by the way, is not in the original comic and shouldn't be in there at all. And I get that they're wanting to, like, break a character down, and it's like, oh, he's got this amazing power that, you know, he can live forever, and we want to take that away from him and raise the stakes. And, you know, that's an interesting idea, but I feel like, why don't you flip it on its head a little bit and do a thing where his powers work against him? Like in Wolverine the Best There Is, one of my favorite Wolverine comics, his powers are working against him because he gets captured and they start, like, doing all these experiments on him, and, like, he wants to die at some point. He's like, fucking kill me, like, I hate regenning from all this shit. It's like he's like gets tortured over and over and over again, and that is far more interesting. And then the thing is, when he finally pulls the thing out of his chest, which was a good scene, I enjoyed watching him doing self-surgery. I like surgery stuff. He finally gets it out, and you're like, yes, now he's gonna go fuck shit up. And then he goes to that town that's filled with ninjas, which, by the way, they're not very good ninjas if you can see, like, every single one of them, just saying. And then you're, like, waiting for him to, like, fucking go cut through him like butter, and then he doesn't, and it's kind of, like, really anticlimactic, and it really lets you down, like, as an audience member. You're just kind of like, meh.
Yeah, he gets all those arrows, and then he just gets shot with a poison arrow.
It's deflating. Yeah, it's just odd. It comes after this really inspiring scene where he fixes himself, and then you're like, yes, he's gonna kick ass, and then he doesn't, and then it's, like, deflating. If I had directed the movie, I would have had Wolverine, like, going through ninjas like crazy, like, busting through walls, like, I mean, it would have been insane if there's blood everywhere and arms flying. And...
cutting people in half.
Yeah!
Chopping people's faces off.
But, you know, it's PG-13, so can't do anything fun. You can drop an F-bomb once, and that's it.
Chop off 10 people's legs.
That would be sweet, but it's another missed opportunity. Okay, what I'm looking for is, for example, in the Avengers, you have the Hulk, and he finally gets to cut loose, you know, and he's just kicking ass and taking names and just doing it, and it's so much fun to watch. And I just want to see that kind of energy in a Wolverine movie. You know, I want to see him cut loose and fucking do it.
Yeah, yes.
Do it. Doing it. He's the best at what he does, and what he does isn't very nice.
Oh,
Great.
yeah.
Wolverine, the best there is, 50% off. Nobody's ordering these, so you can probably get them at a really good deal, and you should, because it's one of the best Wolverine stories I've read in a long time, so whatever. Number 8. The motivations in this movie are all willy-nilly all over the place, and that's because they're stuck to this old continuity. Let me explain. In the comic book, Wolverine goes to Japan because he had started a relationship with Mariko, fell deeply in love with her, and he had to go to Canada to take care of some Canada business. He gets back, she's not taking his calls, he doesn't know where she is, and like he finds out she's in Japan, and he's like, why is this bitch not taking my calls? And so that's why he goes over there to investigate, because you don't just ditch Wolverine after being in some hot and heavy relationship with him, okay? Like, he will come and show up at your fucking door. You better believe that before you start fucking Wolverine, okay? And so, you know, it's just bizarre in this one because they have to tie it into the old continuity, so they have to, like, mention his thing with Jean Grey because that's so built up in the trilogy. And it really just throws his motivations off because it's like, in the end, it's like, why is he helping this girl? Like, why is he even here? Like, why does he even care? Like, I don't know. It was a lot more solid in the source material. It just sucks that they can't just do the comic because they're tied to the old continuity and because they feel like they have to bring up Jean Grey if you talk about Wolverine, which I feel like is a mistake. I mean, I don't completely hate what they did with her character, having her more as a figment of his imagination, as like a visual representation of his guilt. I'm not against that. I think that was a clever way to do it, but I felt like it shouldn't have had to have been done in the first place. It should have just been like... And in the comic, they have this interesting love triangle between Mariko, Yukio, and Wolverine, and they don't even bother with that in the movie because they can't, because of the Jean Grey thing, and then it'd be weird for him to be dating two chicks. But then in the end, he leaves the chick that he supposedly loves and flies off with Yukio, which is the girl that he doesn't have any romantic ties to necessarily, but then they're like going on an adventure together, and it's like, why are they together? Why does she hang out with him? Why is she leaving Japan? Like, I don't know. I don't know why anyone's doing anything in this film, okay? And number 8, part B, is... Man, it's like, it's been so long since Jean Grey died. It's like, dude, get over it at this point. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, you're still crying about her? Like, come on. Like, it's been so long, dude. And maybe it's because I'm just kind of tired of seeing all of my superheroes this summer fucking whiny and bitchy and fucking lame and depressed all the time. Like, Tony Stark has PTSD. Wolverine's still crying over Jean Grey. Superman's all emo because he's like, Superman. You know, it's just like, come on. Can somebody just be a fucking hero and do it and have fun doing it and, like, be okay with it instead of just fucking crying about it all the time? I'm so sick to death of these depressing superheroes. If I got powers tomorrow, I would be thrilled and delighted. I would not be fucking crying about it. Unless, like, I look like Sauron or something. But even then, that's still kind of cool.
Sauron lives once more!
Number 9. The third act of the film, climactic battle between him and Silver Samurai, I feel like really falls apart. I feel like it really breaks away from their strength that I had appreciated so much in the rest of the film, where they're like, it's a smaller story, we're not going to go too crazy with this. And then they just were like, oh, we got to have some fucking crazy CGI bullshit. You know, you got to put that in there. And, you know, the Silver Samurai thing, it just, I don't know, I knew where it was going. It just, like, who cares? I don't know. It wasn't my deal. It just really fell apart for me.
Oh, well, I liked it.
Well, you would.
I liked the giant samurai.
Well, I guess we'll just have to agree to disagree on this one. It's like, wait, they have an old man in a adamantium suit.
No one challenges Sauron and lives!
Number 10. What's the moral of the story? If you haven't already watched the movie, then this is spoilerful. Okay, so in World War II, Wolverine saves a guy from an atomic bomb, and then I guess later on, said man who's very traditional, who's stated as being very traditionally Japanese, which would also mean that he's very into honor, would be a thing, I would think. This honorable man decides that he's just gonna steal, like, eternal life from Wolverine. Like, so the moral of the story is, like, don't save people? Because they might turn around and fuck you over later? Like, I don't know. Like,
he should have saved one of the other 4 guys that were trying to kill themselves.
yeah, like, he should have just left them all die, I guess. I don't know. You know, and that's the thing that bothers me is, like, you know, in this, the emotional core and the moral of the story is really all about Wolverine finding himself, finding a balance within himself between the Berserker and between the Ronin. And it's really interesting, him coming to terms with his animalistic side and his honorable side, and finding his honorable side to begin with, and learning a little bit of self-control. And it's really well done. It adds a lot of dimension to the character, but there was pretty much none of that in the film, which was disappointing, seeing as how it didn't have any other emotional core to take its place. So, what do you want? So that's it for our 10 things about the Wolverine. Overall, I feel like it's kind of a forgettable movie. It's not offensive. It isn't terrible. It might be a really good film to put on in the background while you're, like, drawing or, like, working on a project or doing some whatever, cleaning your house. But it's certainly, like, I don't know, it could be a lot better.
So it's the perfect vacuuming movie, is what you're saying.
So I give it a meh.
I give it a Murph.
Robot gives it a Murph. Let us know what you think in the comments below. And also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
Murph.